Hey everybody, doing some work on the handrails. Snapped the two new shells on to replace the 9367 and the 9201. They look great. We'll look at them in a little bit. I had my 8309 here, and it was missing one side of the rails was completely gone, the handrails, and the other side, the conductor side, was missing a half a chunk. So I was cutting out these handrails and I used my little snips, and it just started breaking all these little pieces. So I used Intermountain had sent me two full sets, and I used both of the port sides. So I cobbled together the remaining side from the 9201, reversed it. It's not perfect by any means, but it's on, and I added a little piece there. I fixed the front. I replaced the front and rears. So I use these old shells as the donors. I'm going to keep them because you never know when you might need, horns or another coupler or something like that. But if you get these handrails and you're going to replace them, use a cutting mat like I've got here, and use your best, sharpest, newest X-Acto knife, because if you try to trim them off of the plastic pieces like all model builders do, they're going to break, and you get really frustrated and you say bad words and your wife yells at you and she covers your granddaughter's ears. So anyway, we'll go up and we'll run these in a little bit. I'm going to let this guy dry a bit more. You can see my white trash sort of spacers in while they dry. I don't like using glue on these because that's what goofed them up in the first place. But I glued them before, so the holes weren't there and they couldn't pop in, and it's just turned into a huge pain. If I find another SD40T or SD45, I'm just going to get it to have a fleet of three. But they sure look nice, and I looked at the numbers in the new ones, and I looked them up on RailPix or RailArchives.net and RailPix, and I got some really cool pictures that I can recreate of them leaving the Sunset Limited, both with AMD 103s and F40s. So that's kind of cool. I like to recreate pictures using my engines. So anyway, for now, we're going to let this guy dry, and then later on, we will hook them all up and run a train. Talk to you later. Okay, it's been overnight. Our glue is dry. Let's do a roll by with the new shells and the some refabricated parts on the lead SD40 T2 8309 here. I'll explain why it looks a little goofy. But here's a new shell. 9318 has a SD45 T2, and the 8490 is a SD40 T2 born in 1978. So let's take a look at these guys. Yeah, I'd like to know the history of these engines. 8309 was built 2 of 78, and 9318, the elder statesman of the group that's received the new speed lettering, he was built 174. So these are new shells, and they replaced these two. Now here's a short clip of what they look like out on the road without rails. So 8309, I ended up cutting a bunch of the handrail sets they gave me. They're so fragile, so little. So I ended up just making a little patch here. I'm going to scrape some of that glue off and then make it gray, the dark SP gray. So that'll look all right. And then on the other side, the engineer's side, I ended up using, you sharp-eyed viewers go, hey, that's a port side rail. Yes, it is. And I used it from one of those two. I don't remember which, because I kept cutting through and breaking all the tiny little pieces. I'll put some stills on there. But anyway, we put him on. I'm going to clean that up a little bit. But for going down the road, that's going to look fine. And we replaced the end rails using donor parts. Got the front handrails. So for 53 bucks, I got 3 fairly good-looking SD40 types, tunnel motors. I'm going to give these a little weathering. Not a whole lot, though, for, mid-80s. I'll darken them up a little bit. One thing I did when I was working on 8309 here, one of those rear radiator grills, it came off. I didn't even realize it was a different piece. So I couldn't find it on the ground, and I'm pretty sure Gus ate it. But I got one off of one of the donor shells and stuck him in. And because for those of you that don't know, that's what makes a tunnel motor a tunnel motor, is the radiator air intakes are down low instead of high, where they normally are on the SD40 series. That was for on the big tunnels across the Sierra Nevada, and that it could get, in theory, cooler air down at the bottom instead of hotter air up top. So that's what makes them tunnel motors. Anyway, that ends the saga. Let's watch them run a little bit. And as always, I appreciate you watching, commenting, and subbing. Highball. Just a couple of cars on here for fun. Here they are in their home environment.